and welcome to the Holistic Health and Hormones podcast. I'm Ellie Huang, your guide to unlocking the secrets of vibrant health and balanced hormones. Together, we'll explore empowering strategies, holistic healing modalities, expert insights, and client stories to help you reclaim your vitality and live in harmony with your body. Whether you're navigating the journey of motherhood, seeking natural solutions, or striving for optimal well-being and wanting to live a long and healthy life, you're in the right place. Let's embark on this transformative journey to health, healing, and happiness, one mindful step at a time. Ready? Let's dive in. Have you ever thought about how astrology could be impacting your health and what's happening around you in your life? In today's interesting conversation, we speak to a Vedic astrologer about the impacts of using astrology, understanding how the planets align to look for answers and the bigger pictures in your life. Let's look at this interesting conversation and see where it heads. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Holistic Health and Hormones podcast. Today, I'm really excited to be speaking to Prati. So Prati here is a Vedic astrology chart reader. She believes Vedic astrology is the first ever astrology concept created by the scholars of ancient India, with the sky right above you and its planetary movements. Her passion is to learn this Vedic science to help you unlock the hidden keys to all the hidden aspects of your life with the help of these amazing planets and their movements. So welcome, Prati. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Ellie. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
So I thought I had Prati on because I've known Prati for a little while now. Prati, did you want to speak about sort of how we met? Because you used to, like your background obviously being Indian and you were in the tea business. That's how we sort of met the first time. So just tell everyone a little bit about your background, the culture, what brought you to Vedic astrology after all the other business ventures you used to do.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, we've known each other for a while now, and I did have a tea business. Technically, I still get to do the tea business every now and then because I'm so much into it. So I still have a lot of people who love the teas. However, it it came to me because I met a tea master and he taught me. So it came to me instead of me going to the tea. As opposed to astrology was something, I think it was just like a piece of puzzle that fit right in the square. And because I always felt like, okay, yes, I have this amazing skill sets that I'm doing a business with. I was doing other things as well at that time. I'm like, nothing is just feeling right. I don't think I'm made for it. I don't think I'm born for it. And it was just extremely exhausting. And when astrology came to me, it just fell in place because I thought this is what I'm made for. Because I was effortlessly just fell in it. So yeah.
So what was your experience with astrology before it fell into it? Was it something you sort of grew up with in your culture? Had you come across it in other times of your life? Had you had readings and thought, I want to learn this one day?
The day when someone told me about astrology, I actually declined it because they said like, oh, you're going through a few things. Do you want to ask an astrologer? And I'm like, my answer to that was suggestion to a friend who is a dear friend. And I said like, that's the most impractical advice someone ever gave me. So I, and you're your best friend, so you can talk, like you can argue with them. And I was like, I get that's not practical. I was like, I'm not doing astrology. And like a month later, I'm like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? So I spoke to one and I was so pissed off with the suggestions of with their reading. It was so negative, and it just reminded me of this like back in India, when you go to an astrologer and all their talk is negative, they've never really paid attention to your chart. They quickly go through it and they browse like this, like as if they're going so fast. And they never pay attention to it before you come there. And then just give you like this tips and remedies that you need to pay for to do a remedy. And everything is just negative, and you go from there really depressed. And that's exactly how I felt. And I felt like, okay, the world's still like that. And 90% of the people who are out there doing that. And I felt like really outrageous. So I'm like a person, if I see something really wrong, I want to fix it. And I mean, obviously, I can't fix everything in the world, but and I thought, like, you know what, I'm going to open a book of astrology and help myself. So that's how I wanted to fix it. I can't fix the world. It's like I can't fix what just happened. Need to be a little bit positive. So I opened a book and I couldn't stop reading it. And reading like so many books for months, spending 6 hours a day learning. And I'm like, you know what? I'm doing this like I'm made for it.
So tell people like what is first of all, what is astrology and what is the difference between like Vedic astrology as opposed to someone who just goes to an astrologer? So did you want to just like clarify what is astrology and what specific is Vedic astrology? How is that different from other forms of astrology?
It's not different. Like, look, astrology came to the stars and the planets. They literally, you are made of stardust, as even the scientists was can say that we are made of such stardust. So we are all
Mm.
interconnected.
Yeah.
So yes, the knowledge of astrology and when like in the ancient time, when there was nothing much to do, and people looked about the sky, even in the ancient Greece, or even in the Egypt, like when they look the sky above, they have sun god that they call their god Ra, and which is why they're powered with so much strength because they kept worshiping it. So they had all this geometrical idea because sun is the god who blesses the geometry, and it blesses extreme power, it blesses extreme intelligence. So people say Mercury is, but I'm like, no, there is a hidden science of sun that a lot of people don't tap into, but I think the Egyptians got it right. Because you see that the first thing up there, and people who say lunatic, they throw the word out there like there is nothing, like it's nothing, and the same people will decline. It's like, oh, I don't believe in all this, hogwash. It's just doesn't exist. And so my brother is such a lunatic, and I'm like, say it slowly. Like I asked that to a guy who said, I'm like, say that, repeat that sentence slowly this time. Why did you use the word lunatic? What does that really mean? He's like, I just use it as a word. I'm like, no, it's because of a lunar cycle
Mhm.
that actually disturbs the
Yeah.
water levels in your body and also your subconscious mind. And that is where it came from the ancient time. And that is why you're using it right now. So you're literally either replicating something or, paying attention to what you're saying. So, and he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. So you kind of secretly believe in it, but you don't want to admit it. So, Vedic astrology, the way it's different is it came to everyone, but from what we can see, is Vedic is the most in-depth. It's not just paying attention to the sun god Ra or separating it from the Greek who got a few concepts correct, but on the surface level. And then they were going with all those deities and all those, like, the Venus was connected to aphrodisiac. That's correct. Venus is the goddess of like sex. So, but how else can you define Venus? What other things it is power in the depth of it, if you go in the complete depth of it. Now, when you do that, that's when the Vedic goes into an extreme depth that you don't know that Venus also empowers the wealth in the society, not money, not $5 bill, 5 billion. Like it empowers wealth in the society. Venus also is the one who is the giver of astrology, science, to your mind. If you don't have a strong Venus in your chart, I can't say you have the blessing of the Venus for it to be an astrologer. So it's that depth is where the Vedic comes, because I think the Indians went into the extreme depth.
Yes, I know. I've had my charts done by you and by a few other Vedic astrologers, and the whole spiritual concept is also really fascinating, but we'll get onto that in a little bit. So how can, say clients or people listening, how can we use, if they've never done so before, never thought to use astrology, how can we use a Vedic astrology approach to really connect that between what is happening with our astrology and the alignments of the planets, and how has that got to do with our health?
Uh,
Like,
your
how does
health
that
is
health go through different, I guess you could say, different ups and downs? Or if our chart is presenting with something like, people have amazing health throughout their life and others have got a lot of physical challenges. Like, how does astrology maybe impact what is happening with our health and well-being in certain times of our life?
absolutely. So in an astrology chart, I have met a few people already, and I did tell them I actually don't tap into negative health issues when I see a chart unless the person asks me. So the way I look at a chart is like I don't speak about it unless a person asks me, because I think like if it doesn't exist, psychologically, if they don't have that already, psychologically they can manifest it very easy. So you can never forget that an astrology is like, you know, a strong aspect, but it's like a DNA. You are the second aspect. So a DNA, like you are interconnected with it. You can manifest. So an astrologer has to be very mindful what they say. Like for example, just because like Mars is a giver. Mars is a planet that is amazing, it's beautiful, and Mars needs to have a really good strength in your astrology chart. Somebody who has a weaker Mars or in the weaker house of your chart can experience health issues every now and then, but if the Mars is now afflicted with the north node of the moon, I have done chart after chart after chart after chart to confirm that. And I asked them very politely that, have you had mental health issues in the past? And you can say no if you haven't had, and I will accept like, you know, like that as my error in reading, but I feel like you may have had. And then they end up crying because they say like, okay, I've been struggling since I was a child. That's because the north node of the moon is extreme amount of thoughts everywhere. It's just a head. North node of the moon doesn't have a tail. It's a long story. So it doesn't have a body. So because of that, when Mars get afflicted, aggression, Mars is aggression. Mars is like a lot of fire, hate. And if that
personality, certain personality traits.
yes, a lot of hate. Imagine a lot of hate and aggression right next to a head, like a bodiless planet just with a head. It's just in your head, and that person's going crazy. And I feel so bad for them every time I see like Rahu, which is the north node of the moon, which we call Rahu in the ancient Vedic term. So Rahu and Mars, when I see that, especially I had one customer who was in the first house. When I see Rahu and Mars in other houses, I tell them that you face these difficulties, but in other aspects in your life. But as soon as I like, okay, yes, you act like this at work, but at home you're fine. And they're like, yeah, oh yeah. But as soon as I see it in the first house, I'm like, I'm sorry, you are like this everywhere. No matter what you do, if like your kettle didn't work today, like you feel like banging it on the bench because your anger just busted out. Like you can't contain your anger.
So personalities can come through in the charts. And is there any way of maybe shifting that? Like if someone is constant, like you said, angry, is there any way of shifting that sort of anger at all? Like shifting the anger if it's coming in through their charts, like if they're born with it and they're constantly angry?
Yeah, I think they're born with it. They're born with mental health issues and schizophrenic. Like now, you can tell with the north node of the moon and the moon together. If if the moon and the north node of the moon sits together, then you're really prone to black magic done on you because you don't really have protection from black magic if that's your positioning. And unless sun is somewhere around that same house or aspecting it, then you may be protected by the sun. But otherwise, I've seen that like I can see it in the charts of my own partner, and he is afflicted by black magic and in his family and nothing, but you can help yourself. You can also tell like where and how you're going to meet your major accidents and how to avoid it. Also, like, you know, but not everybody's chart have those. Like, not everybody meets major accidents. Like with my partner's chart, when I read it, I told him like, your career was really bad until you had a major health issue and went to the hospital. And since you went to the hospital that day onward, your career skyrocketed because you met a guru. And then a child came in your life, and after that, your career just went up. And he confirmed it that he was having a major health issues. He went there, and the doctor asked him to live shoot a surgery recording, and he said, "If you keep doing it for me, I'll pay you a lot." And he became the first person to live shoot brain surgeries and highly paid. And he named his company after his newborn niece as a child. So, and I'm like, fantastic. So like you can tell that yes, you have had injuries, but you also the Mars, your Mars was not weak. So yes, your Mars took you there, but it also uplifted you and gave you money out of it. So depends how good is their planetary position. Is there anything saving you? Is anything in the first house, sixth house, eighth house, 12th house? These are your dangerous houses. People don't pay attention to seventh. Seventh is the most dangerous as well. So like, yeah, it's more technicalities.
So a lot of times people go to astrology for either finding out like health or relationships or children. It's usually love, money, relationships. So how have you seen astrology play out in terms of, let's start with like, I guess relationships and then, sort of having children, because I'm in the business of, helping families with kids. How can you look at a chart and see when they're going to meet a potential partner, if there are kids in their charts, and if so, how many? Have you seen, or what's your experience in that respect and how astrology is used there?
In terms of marriages and children.
Marriage, I guess, for those who are single, who want to have a family eventually, when they can see themselves meeting the father or their partner of their children, and I guess then where the children do come into their charts.
Okay. Yes, you can tell. In terms of you can also tell um if this person's going to meet up divorce. You can tell that this person is blessed or not blessed with a child. It's such a sensitive subject that imagine if you tell someone that you're not going to have a child, they're going to be so disheartened. But and if they really want it, it's really hard. And I think it's such a sensitive subject that I was always afraid of telling people, like, okay, no, it's a no. But because miracles do happen,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, these are planets that
Yes.
are guiding our life, and they're predestined destiny, or they're the path on which we're meant to walk, or what our life will look like, and what the outcomes of it would be. But there is another aspect to it that we forget, that certain mantras, or
Mm.
maybe you're blessed by a deity in your past life, that it would not, if you're blessed by a deity, it will not show in the astrological chart. Only a few times it will show, like, okay, yes, this deity has blessed you in the past life. So maybe even though everything will go against you, you'll end up having an adopted child. So that those things can happen, and the miracles can happen, that you suddenly fell pregnant. And it's because you just have a blessing of someone, that you did some good karma, and good karmas can erase the curses of, like, no children. Yes, it's a very harsh language used back in the days, and obviously it was ancient time that they openly used the word curse, but I wouldn't call that, not in the modern time, like, but I would just say that, okay, if it's a decline, then you can you can still conceive, and there are ways to check it. And if I can see in your chart that, okay, no matter how much calculations that I do in your chart, I cannot see a baby, I would tell them to chant a certain mantras, definitely do a certain yoga positions, and time it. Because that's when when I'm exhausted with the chart, I would put the mantras, the yogas, and the timings, which is the Mahadashas and the Antardashas, which means a planetary positioning who is ruling your Vimshodri Dasha, which is ruling planet for the next 10 years. Every planet has been given a certain amount of ruling, like Sun 6 years, Venus is 19, Saturn is 18. So this way, like, if I know that they're entering this, they're about to enter a 19-year-old Dasha, but that's great, because if they do that and that planet in that chart is weak, but if they go and, like, do mantras of that planet, they can strengthen it. And if they position their timings around, like, trying for a child in the Antardashas, which is the secondary ruling planet, it's called, like, there are Shukshma Dashas, like there's micro, you can have it micro down to a day, from the year, from the 19-year-old period to a day, because there's Mahadashas, Antardashas, Sukshma Dashas. So if you time it, and if you are understanding what are the laws of that planet, what that planet likes and pleased with, and what are the timings of its ruling, then you may just find a perfect best one day, or a cycle of 3 months or something like that to like really up your game in terms of yoga positions and however you're trying, or if you're going through IVF, whatever your method is. But that's when you can try the most. So that's how I see it. Um, and also your willingness. Sometimes I have had customers who probably sometimes they're not really sure about it and they're trying and trying. So if your chart is already weak and then you're not sure on the top of it, God, it's gonna be very hard. You're still
Mm.
thinking about it, like should I have a child or not, but you're like going at it with your IVFs. It's not aligning. Yeah.
So is that
Yes.
what you mean by sort of a lot of those who are going through IVF? I mean, because that's more time, they're like, okay, it's going to be this month as opposed to natural conception. You sort of just kind of leave it up to the universe and the planets, I guess. But with, say, the timing, can astrology and certain charts give you better insights to timing for conception, especially if they're using something like IVF?
Even if they're trying it naturally, that can
Yeah.
still, you can still time it correctly.
So you
You
can see
can.
that in the charts and see when is a better opportunity to perhaps go through an IVF cycle.
Absolutely. And I always say that it's important to understand why you declined a child in your chart.
Yeah.
If someone bothers to ask me the details, I will tell them that there is a reason why you're declined. It's that your ancestors don't want it to happen. And no matter how, like, you would believe in that does it's not true, but think about the land that we are sitting on. We worship, like we respect this land and the Aboriginal culture and the indigenous culture. What is the first thing that they say? The elders of the past, present, and future. It
Mm.
does matter. The amount of respect they give to their elders because they have a
Yeah.
secret. They understand that your lineage has so much to do with it.
Yeah.
100%, like 80% or more of your life is your lineage. Think
Same.
about, like, take a chain of 10 couples in your past. You don't even know after three of your great grandparents, you might even not know the rest
Yeah.
seven. But think about it. And now take one of the couple away from that chain, you wouldn't have been born. So,
Yeah.
do you really think that they don't matter? Their
Yeah.
consciousness is inside you.
Yeah, it's the same with like Buddhism, I guess, right? All the spiritual Eastern cultures, like it's so ingrained in that, right? We go back like so much. We still pray to our ancestors many days of the year. I'm sure the
Yes.
Indian culture have that, right? We respect our ancestors and they go all the way far back, right? As we can, because we're all still part of them. Like we are part of the DNA, and whatever's had a little, I guess, yeah, kink in the bloodline or something, right? It's like what's happening? Why aren't we wanting to continue, right, with the next generation, or what's happened?
Yeah. If
Down
there is a
that
glitch
path.
in it, like if the chain never broke and now it's breaking, what's happening? What, like you can even pray to your ancestors, and like you can also, I always suggest them that talk to them, maybe do a meditation around it and have a chat with them, like why, and can they do something to respect them more, or can they do something to pay respect to them, like you said, yes, in the Eastern cultures in India we have a day, we have a whole week dedicated
Yeah.
to,
Whole
like,
month.
paying respects. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess following on from that, you were saying what are some of the techniques, or I guess what are some of the advice you could give to people struggling through that? So you mentioned a few things like mantras and yoga moves, perhaps talking to your ancestors, right? We're not praying to a specific deity if they have that, but your ancestors are part of your generation, and you're trying to create a new generation. So did you want to expand on that? And are there any other things that you would recommend people to start looking into or exploring if they haven't done already and they're going through, some struggles at the moment? Health also.
Yeah, I mean, food matters a lot, first of all, like what are you eating, if it's suiting your body or
Yes.
not. Um and and when you are, like, when Shraddha, which is the timing that we have dedicated in our Indian, like, system for ancestry, is also when the Saturn is passing through. And it's because Saturn is connected to the ancestry. Saturn is your past life karmic um, planet, and it's one of the most beautiful planet ever. Because Saturn, if you pay respect to Saturn and do what he says, Saturn will give you like no other planets can. uh, so you can't, when those days come, you need to, if you are aware that when is Saturn transition and when are the Indians doing the ancestry day, I can add, when I make a website, I'm gonna definitely add those kind of information in it, because I know that a lot of people might want to know that does it actually come in the whole year. It's just once in a year that happens. And then that's when you look at the similarities. The indigenous culture also believe that it's the crows or the ravens are your ancestors, and so do the Indians. We also feed the crows. So it's so similar. So people 60,000 years sitting here and all the way in India, and they believe that the crows are your ancestors. Do you have any, like, there's no connection? Why do you think both had the same idea? So it's something talking to us and telling us that this is me. My soul is in here. That's why they both had the exact same idea. You can't have two and like millions of people having a coincidental idea. So yes, you can be aware of those timings. You can chant certain mantras. I really believe in mantras, because mantras are your cleansing point. It actually really takes that impurity away from your body.
It's kind of like mantras, affirmations, those sort of
affirmations. Yeah, affirmation is a kind of mantra.
Yes. Being in a belief in that, moving that energy forward, right?
Yeah.
Creating that energy that you want to bring to you.
Absolutely. And when you're doing an affirmation, it's extremely important that, do you believe in it or not yet? Is it just a mental affirmation like, I believe I'm going to, but hang on a sec, if instead of saying it as a robot, do you truly believe? You will know. Every sense of your body will change from your toe to your hair when you believe in something.
Yeah.
It does changes, the vibration changes, and you'll feel it. So if you don't know any different right now, keep practicing the belief system and you will understand. Second thing is that in the chart, the mantras are cleansers, and they different 3 types of mantras. They are, and based on your planetary alignment, you need to do a certain kind of mantras. Not everything. There's like thousands of mantras given by Lord Shiva for your astrology chart. So which one you need to chant, it depends on what are your planetary positions. It depends where is your ancestry, blocking your way of having a child, and which deity is not helping you either. The deity is protecting them, not you. So deity said I'll protect your curse, but he forgot about you. So then what's missing? Then we hone down to that aspect. That's what I see, that this is missing. You don't have a blessing, they do. So we need to change this. So we need to remind the deities that you need to continue the lineage, and whatever is the issue, can you please talk to them? And that's why you need to worship that particular deity or any aspect of a good planet or benefic planet. There are 2 different benefic and malefic planets. If there is a benefic planet aspecting that house, aspects are a whole different story. It's very complex. But if they're aspecting, then that planet can help you conceive as well. And the third thing is my favorite thing to do, and that is my way of interpreting that planet, because many astrologers have gone crazy. I'm not joking, literally gone crazy for days not eating. And I've had that phase as well. I think this planet does that to you. It drags you into the darkness. I've had that phase where I couldn't think or breathe or anything, because I was thinking about, what do you truly mean? What do you stand for? And that's Ketu, the south node of the moon, the body of that head planet that we spoke about. What does the body mean? And I feel like wherever that planet sits, pay attention to that house. It will sit somewhere in one of your 12 houses. Pay attention. That's your most important house in your chart, and your sun.
So is that what you basically can mention to people, how they can use the planets, their charts, to balance any negative influence on their health?
Absolutely. Ketu is not negative. Everybody says Ketu is negative. Sometimes Ketu literally means that you cannot have a child because it's your last life. It's the end of the cycle. It's the end of your ancestry. Your entire lineage will get moksha, or will get higher attainment of enlightenment through me. That's the only reason Ketu sits somewhere. And if it's sitting in your children's house, think about it. Why is it saying that to you? So but if it's sitting in some other house, then we can actually go around it. But if it's sitting directly in your children's house, then it's about your acceptance or not. But if it is in another house, then we need to pay attention to why Ketu is sitting here. What is it trying to give you complete disconnection from so you can have the higher enlightenment? So Ketu is a planet of absolute purity and higher enlightenment. So pay attention to where that is. So yes, you can find so many, they talk to you in an amazing way that, hey, this is ancestry curse, do this mantras. Hey, I can protect you from here, do this mantras. Hey, these are the timings and the alignment. Pay attention to the whole year and the timings when the Shraddha comes, which is the timing of the ancestors. Worship me, you forgot. Your parents forgot. You need to do something about it, and we won't lift up the curse unless you do something about us. You cannot forget us. We were there. You exist because of us. So then you do that. Pay respect to them, and the child will arrive. So there's so many things that you can do. And the last thing is acceptance. If Ketu is sitting in the child house, that's the last thing. But that so many things. Yeah.
So I guess on a happier note, have you had any success stories or do you know any from your mentors about how astrology was able to help someone overcome like maybe a chronic illness or a health challenge or a fertility challenge at all? The light, or maybe due to certain advice or astrology that they were able to overcome or able to see when they would be able to overcome it, so that aligned with their sort of timing.
I have not heard my mentors sharing with me that they helped someone overcome, but they did tell me stories about how these people were meant to have this and how it arrived in their life. And they told me stories about it. But they also said, like, but you pay attention to this. This person was also supposed to be saved. So look at the other planet. You look at the Jupiter. Jupiter is trying to pull them out of that situation. So when the time came and the Jupiter time started, they got out of that situation, that chronic disease. They had this cancer magically disappear. Some people do get rid of cancers. Yeah. You have that magical story. And I think Dr. Deepak Chopra has spoke about magical, disappearing of cancer so many times. So it was meant to happen, and they were meant to help themselves, and they were meant to be enlightened. And that's because there's so many good planetary positions. And if somebody is not meant to help themselves, no matter how much you're trying to help them, think about it, Ellie. You and I can tell somebody a million things. Please do this. Please follow this. Please follow this food routine. Yeah. Do not do this at this time. And that person goes home and does exactly opposite, because no matter what goes through their head, you don't know why. Yeah. But they are so foggy in their mind. They're like, I'm not going to believe this bullshit. As something comes to them and they don't accept help. And when somebody is not accepting help, and I observe it very closely, you know that they're not meant to. They're not meant to. So I have seen this in people and patterns that they have declined help. Yeah. And I was like, it's not their time.
Yeah.
The
time is like, people who contact me and I could really help them, but they themselves come up with excuses, or like, I don't want to have any help. I'm fine. They want to keep doing it on their own, and that's fine too, right? People can go on their own journey. But yeah, it's also they want to experience their own journey, figure it out for themselves, or not wanting to change or making excuses, right? It's a big thing. Human nature is people get comfortable or people expect things to change, but they don't change anything about, and make any small changes to move in the right direction sometimes.
Absolutely. And that's when you know that they are not destined to receive help. So yes, you can do everything there. I believe that there is remedies for everything given. There's a blessing for everything. Yes, there's schizophrenia and things like that that, okay, there is like these extreme issues that you see around it, and these people cannot be helped. I agree. They must have come here with some really people, like that's what the astrologers say, that look at their past life house, their past life karma must have been really, really, really fogged up, or they may have hurt many people in the worst possible way. So if that's happening, then you can say that, and that these people cannot be helped no matter what you do. And then there's other categories of people that we just spoke, that no matter what you do, they're not going to accept help. And then one day They will suddenly call you 2 years later and they're like, you know what, I'm going to follow everything. Something switched in their headspace. And they're gonna follow it. They do it everything. They do whatever you say. They're gonna chant the mantra. They're gonna sit and meditate. They're gonna go for a run, and they're gonna do. I'm like, what just happened? Their timing aligned.
Yeah, I've seen that with many couples. They literally will do and follow everything to a T and they get the results, right? I mean, if you want it bad enough, even the planets will shift. So, I guess on that note, is there anything that people can see in a chart and really shift that? So, if you see in a chart and then they do, you maybe make some big shifts and then you can see it shifting in their charts as well.
What planets don't really shift. They have their own movement. So right now, if Saturn is at the 29 degree in Aslesha Nakshatra, which is like a constellation, it's going to pass through constellation. It's not going to shift. Because we are talking about we are this and they
They are
are
huge.
the mass of that. They're passing to Aslesha constellation. So that he's going to pass through Aslesha constellation. Just because of our belief system, he's not going to take a different route. Like, someone believed in me. I must go into Revati constellation. It's not going to be working that way. But what happens is when you believe in it, when you believe in something, or when you are doing the mantras of protection, and when you suddenly get the protection of Lord Shiva or the deities or Ganesha deity, Ganesha can control all the planets. When you are doing these kind of mantras that you awaken the deities that rule the planet, the deities that created, and you awaken them in your spine through Kundalini, or you do it through meditation and you awaken them in your body and you're aligning. Because when you believe in it, when you believe in something and it's such a simple language, your body, your mind, your subconscious, everything aligns.
Yeah.
And as soon as something aligns, the malefic effect of that planet goes zero.
Right.
So it's gonna pass through Aslesha Nakshatra, and based on where you are positioned right now, you are in a very, very bad state of mind, and you're already thinking like, oh, hi, I've tried a million times, never gonna happen. And that boom, it's gonna do some disaster in your life. It's gonna just come right through you. But if you're in a complete alignment, you're sitting here doing meditation and you believe in it, it's going to pass through Aslesha Nakshatra. That negative energy is going to circle around you and go away, because that energy couldn't hit you. It's going to hit here on this planet, but it missed you because you separated yourself from it and you became higher. You higher than an enlightened person. You became the higher being, and it can no longer affect you. So it's going to do its job. It's been assigned a task by these deities who created them. So they've been assigned a task they cannot disobey. They are in a locked-in contract. They're going to do what they're going to do. But if you become a higher self of who you are and align your body and your belief systems and your mind completely, that energy is going to bounce back. You created a protection layer around you.
Amazing. Yeah, no, I totally agree with what you say. So I guess in closing, what advice would you give to like people out there who are listening who are skeptical of astrology in connection to their health, fertility, well-being? What would you say to those who are skeptical of astrology?
If you're skeptical of astrology, I would say that if you're skeptical of something, but it's harmless, do you love the adventure of going out and trying it? Are you that person like, oh, I don't believe in ghosts, but you know what? Let's go to this haunted place. It's going to be so much fun. Just out of the thrill, I'd say that first thing, if you don't believe it, do it out of a thrill. Try out of a thrill. And if it's literally in that session, if you think like, what the hell just happened? Something hit you that wasn't like you just got an answer of your lifetime or something changed, then you know that then you got your answer, whether it doesn't exist or it doesn't. And because of whether you believe or you don't, something exists or it doesn't, it's not going to change the astrology in itself. So it's the second beauty of it is you can start learning yourself. If you are skeptical, educate yourself. Education is extraordinary. It's not there to harm you, it's only there to help you. So it's not like tapping into a ghost realm, it's just tapping into your own life path. So educate yourself, pick up and read a book. And if you feel like, oh, this makes sense, then give us a call. Something like this. Like self-education can change everyone's mind. I was skeptical. I told my friend, like, you are so impractical. That's what I told him when he first suggested me astrology. So I was skeptic. And now I study Vedic astrology and I travel and I open one of the most ancient books and I read for hours. What just happened to me? It just changed something. It gave me solutions.
Came into alignment, right? It just
Yeah.
aligned with me. So awesome. Well, for those that want to find out about getting their chats done by Prati, we'll put the link in. But yeah, did you have any other closing remarks or anything else that you wanted to add about astrology for the listeners? What is your last sort of takeaway and the big thing about how astrology's helped you and how it could help them?
The astrology has helped me a lot. I kind of know what my life path is and what I'm meant to do, what I'm born for. Um, like why it came to me after the age of 36. I knew that I was not going to find my dream, my life purpose until 36. And astrology came to me just after 36. So um, it's incredible when you know that how things are right there for you and your life path laid in front of you. Sometimes you don't even like your life path. Sometimes you think like, oh, I don't want this, but it's given to me. So you then get to go deep and understand it instead of becoming that. Think about yourself, think about it. Yes, you may come to some confronting things, you may come to some amazing things, but what's better? You would rather sit on a floor and whine like a child, like, I do not like my life, or really being told about some confronting, some amazing, and some remedies that you can try. And a so much thoughtful, so much matured approach of like, doing something instead of hating day in, day out, hating going to your job, hating the home you're in, hating like the whatever's happening in your life currently. Your friends are shit. This is going wrong. So whether you would become that whiny child or you would rather face it for now and deal it like one step after the other to make your life amazing.
Awesome. We all want an amazing life, but we want a life that we can align and have purpose in. I think that's the main thing is to find purpose, to have clarity. And I think, yeah, astrology, if you haven't looked into it, could be one tool to really help you get into that alignment. Now, in that note, thank you so much, Prati, for sharing some of the wisdom. I know astrology could talk for hours and days and about it, but just give people a little bit of an insight about how astrology can help them with their health and well-being. So thank you so much, Prati, and we'll speak to you another time.
Thank you so much, Ali. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, great. Thank you for tuning in to the Holistic Health and Hormones podcast. If you found today's episode inspiring or informative, please don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It will help us reach more people just like you who are on their journey to vibrant health and balance. For more tips, resources, or to work with me, please visit my website or connect with me on socials. And remember, your health is your superpower. So keep nurturing it, and I'll see you next time.